most especially if you didn't know, all right? He is a top-notcher, top 3 in the board exam. So you better be prepared with how he constructs his questions. When you study with your oral anatomy, be sure that you don't only memorize, you should comprehend what you are reading, what you are memorizing. Don't rely on familiarize because in the exam you will just say, oh, familiar lang. But what is the answer, okay? I know that you have a very short time with learning this, but yeah, maximize your time, study as much as you need to. In oral anatomy laboratory, it is just 1/3, but it will also help a lot, okay? In the last block, in the previous block, there are only 2 students in my lab in the laboratory. Those the others who really did well, it really helped with the grades. This, albeit it's just 1/3 of the grade. But for example, if you have a failing grade in lecture, since it happens a lot in the lecture, failing, but you have 90 plus scores in the laboratory, then it would really be very helpful. Alright, but if you perform lowly, you perform poorly in oral anatomy laboratory, it would really affect your lecture as well. So to do this, to do in the laboratory, you have to answer and submit your student answer sheets, okay, your SAS. For those who still don't have the hard copy, I will provide soft copy. But I actually prefer also hard copies when I need to, but okay, it's not a problem. You can just submit it in the Google Classroom as I have said in your schedule. You also have to draw. Drawings also contribute to the grades in laboratory because it still counts as your manual dexterity. So please, if you think you are not good at drawing, it's all right. We all start noob. We all start as beginners, okay? Not everyone starts excellent. Maybe some are geniuses and they start with very, very nice drawings. Yeah, there are some in the previous block. They have very nice drawings. Some also don't have very nice drawings, but they try so hard to have very good scores in the exams. Okay, bawi-bawi. Okay, bawi-bawi lang. And then carvings, of course. You carve, and then I also give grades with the carvings. Since you are enrolled in dentistry, hand skills matter. And I am always proud of the hand skills that we have in Southwestern University. That's why I like to have students who really give effort with their carvings. That I can really see that you're practicing well with your carvings, improving your hand skills. But then again, learn to manage your time. Don't say that I was so busy carving, doc. I wasn't able to study in the exams. No, that's not good. That will make you delayed in graduating dentistry if you are like that. If you just focus on one thing, you have to be able to balance things, to juggle both in your both hands, laboratory and lecture, or clinics and lecture. And you should attend scheduled classes or meetings, either online or face-to-face setup. Okay. I really don't like students who are always late or delayed and always messaging me that, doc, I was like this and like that, having lots of excuses. Most of you are best in excuses when it's examination time. And it's not good, okay? Because when I do special exams, most of my exams are easy. Actually, most of my exams are objective exams. But when you are late in attending an exam, if you request for a special exam, of course, the special exam won't be the same as those who took it on time. I will make a new exam for special exams, and it might a little bit difficult. To be fair with those who took it on time, because if you took it late, it means you had more time to study. So yeah, I don't really advise taking exams late or taking special exams, except when you are sick. But when you are sick, be sure to present a medical certificate. You can just scan it, take a picture of it, or whatsoever, send it to me in Messenger or in my email. So what to expect? Yes, challenging wax carvings. it is challenging, okay? Maybe for some it is not, but it will start really challenging because I would require you to carve wax carvings that are the same size with your tooth models. So yeah, it is small and the wax becomes slippery. If you have sweaty hands, just wear gloves, okay? Surgical gloves, nitrile gloves, latex gloves, whatsoever is the best for you. And there will be point deduction for late submissions, okay? That's normal. Submitting late would really, there will be deductions in points. So be sure to submit on time or be on time with whatever the activity given. Okay, and then I have already shared to you via messenger the materials that we need. Okay, blocks of white ivory wax. Okay, it's nice if you use white ivory wax because there are other colors of ivory wax. If you use a yellow ivory wax, then it looks like yellow teeth. Okay, sama na wala na toothbrush o nipon. So yeah, please buy the white ones. And I hope you were able to buy good quality of wax. Those that don't break off easily, that kind of ivory wax that looks translucent, don't buy those that are too whitish or looks like a candle white. That's softer and it breaks off easily. It's harder to carve. It's more difficult. And then Nissin or any brand of dental models, because most of you ask me if it's alright if it's not Nissin. It's alright if it's not Nissin, but be sure that there are third molars because some dental stores they sell dental models without third molars. Okay, be sure that there are third molars because it will help you study. These Nissin dental models are not only models for your carving, but also will be used for you to study, to familiarize the anatomy of the tooth. Okay, because yeah, this is our subject. It's not most about carving alone. It is more about learning the anatomy of each tooth because each tooth has a unique morphology among each other. And it is very important for you dental students to be familiar with the teeth because soon enough you will become dentists, right? And it's so, yeah, it's peculiar not to know what tooth is this and that. And in your final exams, in your RDE, since, yeah, time passes by really fast, you should be prepared that you will have a moving exam in your RDE or in your final exam. It will just be 30 seconds per station. There will be 25 stations, 30 seconds per station, and in each station, there will be 2 questions. But most of it is identifying what tooth is this, and then what anatomical landmark is that, or like that. So you should really pay attention to the anatomy of each tooth. So when you're carving, okay, don't autopilot when you're carving, okay? Be familiar with it. When you're carving, you should be looking at the tooth and yeah, okay, I have this already, this one. So I will not just talk about the terms yet because it might not be familiar with you yet. Ruler, okay, for measuring. Caliper or Bolli gauge also for measuring. So don't worry about buying these things, caliper, Bolli gauge, because you will still be using this in your higher year, most especially in your RPD, removable partial denture. Microfiber cleansing cloth. What I mean about this are those small squarish cloth that you use for cleaning your glasses. Okay, just like this. Okay, it's a little shiny and it will also make your wax look shinier. If you don't wear glasses, nobody in the house wear glasses. If you don't have this, you can use, most especially the girls, you can use your old stockings. It will also help shine your wax carvings. You should be aware of these techniques because you will deal with a lot of wax in your higher years. When you already have your complete denture subject, it's nice to have these techniques to make your complete denture looking nice and neat. Sonicare, yes, okay. I am not paid. This is not a paid endorsement of Sonicare, but I am I am just requiring Sonicare because the Sanicare bamboo wet wipes thing, but diba, it has different Sanicare like this, lavender, Sanicare bamboo. The Sanicare bamboo, when it's it's related to our experience. When we wipe our wax, well, whatsoever wax in our CD or wax up festooning and our complete denture, it really makes it clean. But you can try other brands, okay? You can compare. You can try other brands if you think that Sanicare is a little pricey. Okay, it's alright. Just do your own techniques, whatsoever that you prefer to make your work nice, presentable, and that makes you think it will garner great grades. Wax carvers. Okay, you don't have to buy all the wax carvers in the picture. There are lots, okay, in the picture. You just buy whatever you think is comfortable for you to use, okay? And be careful when you carve because a lot of you would say, nasamad ko do. It's normal. It's normal. In our time, we carved the harder wax. We didn't carve the wax. We carved plaster of Paris, and it was very hard. It's like carving a cement. So also paper cutter. Okay, you know the cutter with the blade, the ones we use in cutting papers or like that in your projects in high school. X-Acto knife or pen type cutter. Okay, this one, it is easier to reduce your wax if you still need to reduce a bigger portion. It's nice to use X-Acto knife because it's very sharp and it's easier to hold because it's like a pen. It's just like this. I don't know if you can see it well. See? If you know someone who has a hobby of, like having Gunpla, Gundam, they own a lot of these. This is very useful, very nice to cut even resin. You can buy this in, what do you call that, store in People's Supply, something like that. But if you don't like the abog there, it's so abog. If you don't like the dust and you don't have enough patience to wait, you can find this in National Bookstore. Okay, I bought mine in National Bookstore. Mechanical pencil for your drawings. Okay, it's nicer to use mechanical pencil. And yeah, you will really be using mechanical pen even in your RPD soon enough and in your other subjects. Graphing paper, this is just optional, okay? Graphing paper is just optional since it might not be, if you don't have yet graphing paper, but this will make your drawings more symmetrical, okay? If you want to make your drawings symmetrical, but it's optional. Because the last time, a student told me, Doc, I wasn't able to do the drawings because I don't have graphing paper, I don't have pencil. For Christ's sake, I hope you all have your pencils. I hope you have pencils, you have your paper. If you don't have graphing paper for your drawings, whatever drawing that I ask of you, you can just draw in a bond paper or even a yellow paper. I don't mind as long as you draw and you have the labels right. Okay, if I ask you labelings, I hope you label it right because most of the points are from the labeling. Okay, not on the quality of the drawing. Although the aesthetic quality of the drawing contributes, but I understand that not everyone is gifted with drawing. Okay, so it's all right. Okay, who's this Harvard Unity man wanting to join the call? Is this your classmate? Do you know your classmates? Not, no? Let him join whatsoever. Delisha Dent. Okay, welcome to Dent. Okay. So, yeah, those are the materials. I hope your materials are ready. Okay, for the Nissin, it doesn't need to be new, okay? You can borrow from your friends. You can borrow from your higher years, ates and kuyas in dentistry. You can rent, okay? I heard some would rent their Nissin dental models. Okay, I hope you already checked on the schedule. Okay, those that are highlighted in yellow will be done in an online setup. Since we still have mixed mixed way, hybrid. They call it hybrid classes. Sometimes on some days we meet face to face, and some days we meet online. Okay, most of the online setups are the discussions and the submission of your SAS, which will be submitted in your GCR. I will just post in your GCR, okay, where to submit the SAS if you are very diligent and you already answered in advance. Well, that's very nice of you. And then the green ones are face-to-face setup. As you can see, most of the face-to-face setup are exams because it's nice to have it face-to-face so that we can assess. Okay, the faculty really wanted to have it face-to-face when you have your exams, most especially for board subjects. Oral anatomy is a board exam subject. I would like to have it face-to-face and during exam so that we can assess if you really learned something. Because, okay, don't deny it that some of the students, when we do it in online exams, dugay kaayo mag-submit ha, ang tagal. They take a lot of time to submit, and then they almost have almost perfect scores. But when it's face-to-face exam, they can't even achieve half the score, di ba? Kasi tapad ra ninyo yung modules, no? Your modules are beside you. Sa'yo na ra, oy. Mong lagot sa bo. Okay, makalagot sa the last block. Dili pa dyan maka-perfect. Bisag, yun lang na gani. Sharo na lang dyan, no? Ilaray pag-aplikan sa ato sa module. Anyway, motto. Since I was told by the dean that I was being very lenient. Because in the final exams, they really have very, very low scores. So it sounded like it's my fault because they didn't learn. Okay? Sige, nagkopya sa modules. Tapos when they had their face-to-face exam, GG. Diba? GGWP. And now, okay, sa paman. Of course, face-to-face, the checking of carvings, because I will, if I notice where did you go wrong, I will teach you some techniques, okay? Okay, like, okay, you reduce here and there, okay? I'd like to check your carvings in person but for those foreigners who are not yet in the Philippines, you can just send it in Messenger. But there is really great difference with those who are here in Cebu, whom I can check their works personally because, yeah, you can really see. They can really see where they went wrong because I will correct it. I will be bringing carvers with me, okay, also. And, okay, so for the schedule, just check it in your Google Classroom, okay? Make it a habit to check your Google Classroom so that I don't have to repeat myself a lot. And now, I would like to introduce you to your permanent maxillary right central incisor. Diba? It sounds long. It's just one tooth, but it sounds long. Permanent maxillary right central incisor, because I would just be discussing to you the permanent teeth. Because, diba? As we all know, there are baby teeth. We call them primary teeth. But I would let Dr. Ganzo handle that because he's the lecturer. I am just your laboratory. But since I discussed ahead of him, I would just make some introductions about this, since this is new to you. So, okay, this is my Nissin dental model, okay? So, your permanent maxillary right central incisor is this one. Oh my gosh, I hate the background, this green screen thing. Anyway, yeah. The widest tooth, okay? The widest tooth in your dentition, in the front teeth, okay? As you can see here, the confusing thing, it's a little confusing at first, with your teeth, is when you're looking at the patient, their right is your left, okay? Okay, so when you look at this chart, number 1, quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, okay, that 1 and 4 there, colored purple. They're quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. And they are on the right. Okay, this is the right side of your patient. So when you're looking at it, why is it the right side but it is my left? Diba? But I hope you don't get confused ha. Kasi makonfused mo sa inyong right at sa inyong left hand na GG Jud sir. Sa mga to. Diba? Kani 1 and 4. Quadrant 1 and 4, they are the upper right. The 1 is the upper right. 4 is the lower right, okay? Or quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 and quadrant 3, they are left, okay? So, inaniya siya. The right of your patient is your left. The left of your patient is your right, okay? You familiarize that. You look at, this is a mirror, okay? When you look at the mirror, it's a little, you write on a paper, okay? You do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. 1 and 4, it's on your left hand, but then the 2 and the 3, it's in your right hand, because that's it when you look at your patient, when you're facing your patient. So in your carvings, I will be asking you to carve quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, okay? Later on, I will show you the carvings, sample of wax carvings done by my previous students. So quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Upper right and lower right. So your teeth, there are numbers below, right? But you will learn this more in the lecture. I will just do some introductions here, so it's not so alien to you, diba? Alien rin kaayo if you're not familiar with this. If this is your first time in oral anatomy. So these numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it ends to 32 on the quadrant 4. They are UTN, diba? Can you see the UTN there? It means Universal Tooth Numbering System. Because aside from identifying your teeth as such as permanent, maxillary right, central incisor, there are also other ways of identifying teeth, and we call them nomenclature of teeth. Okay, giduka ng uban, kape. Because this is a little, a little long discussion. I will be introducing you until canines. So yeah, when the numbering is 1, 2 until 32, that's Universal Tooth Numbering System. And the number 1 starts with this one is your maxillary. Okay, the number 1 is on the maxillary right, permanent maxillary right, third molar. Okay, that is your third molar, which the layman's term is wisdom tooth. Most of us call this wisdom tooth. Okay, and starts with the 1 there. And then sunod-sunod na din na siya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so your permanent maxillary right central incisor is, in the Universal Tooth Numbering System, it is number 8, okay? Take note ha, if you want to take note, if it's too much to put in your beautiful brains and beautiful minds. Okay, listen to siya, actually. And I didn't indicate it here in the PowerPoint. So 8 and 9, nilani na lang, basics na lang, that the central incisors, there are 2, okay? I mean, you have 4 central incisors, maxillary and mandibular. When we say maxillary, it means upper, because this is your maxilla. Maxilla, okay, the upper portion, maxilla. This is your mandible. That's why the lower teeth are called mandibular teeth. Diba? Napulol na ko. Mandibular teeth. Maxillary teeth. Upper maxillary teeth, lower mandibular teeth. So you have 4 central incisors. 2 maxillary or 2 upper, 2 mandibular or 2 lower. So in the upper, 8 and 9. Okay, as you can see, universal 8 and 9. In the lower, 24 and 25. This is confusing, alright? Because there is also another nomenclature type which is more used in the Philippines, okay? The 2-digit, what do we call it? International 2-digit system, okay? Or the FDI. The one shown here is FDI. But it is the same thing as your International 2-digit or ITDS. FDI is Federación Dentera Internacional. Okay, na siya. Charot. FDI, it is your two-digit numbering system, and we use it more often in the Philippines. Okay? Most dentists, when you say, um, most dentists, when they communicate with other dentists or with DAs or dental assistants, they will just say, nani, magpas ka ta sa palihog og andam sa gamit. Prepare the things, we'll fill tooth number 11, inana, tooth number 11 or 11. In ITDS, two-digit numbering, you don't say 11, 12, 13. You say 11, 12, 13, 14, 11. Okay. It has something to do with your quadrant. Quadrant 1 or upper right. So 1. What's the number 1 teeth here? When counting, you start from the middle, okay? From the midline. Your central incisor is 1. So it is 1, 1 because upper right, quadrant 1, and tooth number 1, 1, 1. The next is the lateral incisor, okay? The smaller incisor here beside your maxillary right central incisor, the 1, 2. And then it goes on. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, okay? And on the left side, it will be 2, 1, 2, 2, okay? It has, you just follow what quadrant it belongs. So in the picture, this is your permanent maxillary right central incisor. Labial, these are its different aspects or surfaces or views. The labial view or the labial aspect, the labial surface as we sometimes refer to it. Labial, it is the front surface, okay? It is called labial, the front surface, labial, because it is facing your lips, and your lips are also called labia, okay? Labia, labial, it is facing your lips. It's the front surface of it is towards your lips, towards your labia or your labia. So it is called labial. And then ang luyo sa ngipon, okay, the luyo, the back part of it is called lingual. Actually, the right term to is, this is a misnomer. However, this is the most used, okay, lingual surface. Lingual because it is at the back, it is facing your tongue. But your maxillary teeth or your upper teeth, you should have used palatal view. Okay, the back of your upper teeth should be called palatal view because it is facing your palate, okay? You know where your palate is, okay? Your ngala-ngala. I don't know if you call it ngala-ngala in Bisaya, okay? The ngala-ngala, it's here, okay? The one that your tongue touches if you click your tongue, okay? It's your palate. And the surface facing to it is called palatal, but universally we just call it lingual na lang ha. But it's a misnomer. It's a wrong meaning. It should have been palatal. And then the incisal, okay? Incisal edge. Okay. Incisal is when you look at your teeth from below or from above, okay? When you look at your teeth, okay, this is a dental model. Sorry, this is so small. No. This is a dental model. Lagot ko sa background curve. So when you look at its edge here, the edge, the one that you use to bite, okay, that biting edge, that cutting edge, it is the incisal surface, okay? Incisor, and the surface, and its biting surface is called the incisal. But even in the canines, okay, until your canines, the lateral incisor, and then until the canines, that surface used for biting is still called your incisal surface, okay? The surface when you look at your tooth from above or from below, okay, when you're looking at it. And then mesial and distal, okay? If this is not yet familiar to you, mesial means the surface that is near the midline, okay? Distal is away from the midline. Distal, okay, just think of it, a distance away. Distance, okay? Mesial, it is close to the midline. This might be new to you, since this is not yet discussed in your lecture. Okay. So your mesial again, this one. Wait. Mesial. mesial near the midline. Okay, this one here. So you can see the ones with the violet. Okay, I'll just move it. Dili ka siya klaro. That surface near the midline, okay, it is mesial, and all the other parts of the teeth that is near the midline, the red line in the center, you call it the midline. It is the midline, the middle of your teeth. I mean, the one that is like the midline between your right and left side. Okay, the surface near to the midline is called the mesial. The surface away from the midline is called the distal surface. Okay, so the opposite of this, the other side, it is the distal. So don't worry, because in your lecture this will be explained more. I am just introducing you to this since in your SAS, in your student activity sheets, there will be exercises there, skill building activities that will ask you to draw the surfaces of of the teeth. So you have an idea now how this looks like. And also for the exam, you will be asked what surface is shown. You need to be, you have to be familiar with the surfaces. You have to know if it is mesial or if it is distal. Because when you become clinicians, or most especially someday when you become dentists, those surfaces matter when you're referring to where the cavities, the caries are. Okay, example, the caries are on the mesial surface, the caries are on the lingual surface, okay, or on the distal surface of tooth number 11. Tooth number 11 is permanent maxillary right central incisor. 11 is its ITDS or FDI naming classification. Okay, but in the universal tooth numbering system, it is tooth number 8. In your exams, when I ask you to identify a tooth, example, I will be showing a tooth, and then the question is identify the tooth shown. When you answer, you should really include permanent maxillary right central incisor. So familiarize na daan karon pa lang. You should practice now how to write it. Permanent maxillary right central incisor. Because most students really fail at doing this, and that's why it's considered a mistake if you forget to indicate if it is permanent. Because there are also primary teeth. Okay, primary teeth are those that are the teeth that still shed. The teeth of the kids that we refer to as baby teeth in layman's term. You should also indicate if it is maxillary or mandibular, alright? Or if it is right or left. And then, what tooth is it? Central incisor, lateral incisor, or canines? Okay, so this is the lingual view and its anatomical landmarks. Okay, new terms again. These anatomical landmarks really matter. Okay, I would be asking you about the anatomical landmarks of the teeth. Okay, that line there, the one that we call cervical line, it is a line, a demarcation that marks. It's like the boundary between the root and the crown of your teeth. The crown of the teeth is the one that you see in your mouth. Okay. You don't see the root. If you see the root, then that's a problem. The patient have periodontitis. Okay, you only see the crown. The one that we can see clinically. When we say one that you can see clinically, it's the one that we can see with our eyes, okay? The roots, we can see them. If in a healthy condition, we can just see the roots through radiographs, okay? Yung kanang X-ray. So, okay, that's the cervical line there. And then the bulge, okay? If you touch your central, the lingual or the palatal surface of your central incisors with your tongue, okay, right? There's a convexity there, a bulge, and that we call it cingulum, okay? cingulum. Don't call it cingula, okay? That's cingulum because it's plural. There is only one cingulum in there. Or maybe you can see your tooth models, and that convexity there, the convexity below your cervical line, that is your cingulum. And then there is the mesial marginal ridge and distal marginal ridge. Okay, marginal ridge. Don't get confused, especially when you are drawing. I hope you really make it look like a ridge. Okay? It's not that hard to understand. Hopefully, it's a ridge because it's a ridge. It looks like a ridge there. A normal definition of ridge in your Merriam-Webster dictionary. Okay, there's a ridge on that side, a convexity, but it's a little long, and it's called marginal because it's on the side. It's like a margin in between your fossa. Then you see their lingual fossa. Fossa means a depression or a concavity there. So since it is on the lingual or the palatal surface, it is called lingual fossa. Okay, a concavity or a depression at the back of your permanent maxillary and central incisor, or your central incisor, is called a lingual fossa. Okay, fossa. There is only one fossa there. Okay, lingual fossa and not fossae. It's a lingual fossa. Mesial marginal ridge because it is on the mesial surface. Distal marginal ridge is because it is in the distal surface. Okay, one clue about identifying if it is on the distal or if it is in the mesial. Okay, you look at the root. You look at the root of the tooth. Okay, where it's going, it is the distal because your root would go away from the mesial. Okay, so as you can see there, okay, it's going. The distal surface is where the root is inclined. Okay, see, distal marginal ridge, mesial marginal ridge. However, it is not that applicable in your mesial and distal surface. Okay, because the root looks straight on the mesial and the distal surface. However, it will be explained to you in your lecture how to identify it. Okay. Okay. Now the labio-incisal edge and the lingo-incisal edge. So I had questions from some students before that they got confused. Where is the labio-incisal? Where is the lingo-incisal? Okay. Since I have already, you look at this other view here on the right picture. This is the incisal view. Okay. So this is the incisal view. It's clear here where is the lingo-incisal edge and the labio-incisal edge. Okay. In between the labio-incisal edge and the lingo-incisal edge, we call this one as this is the incisal edge, okay, or the incisal ridge, as different sources call it, incisal edge or incisal ridge. Okay, wait, I will just put it down here. Incisal edge or ridge. Okay, incisal edge or incisal ridge na siya. Okay, yeah. Ridge. Some students ask now, they get confused, where is the incisal edge, where is the labio-incisal edge? Okay, as you can see there, in between the labio-incisal edge and the lingo-incisal edge is your incisal edge. Okay, it's an edge. Okay, it's a ridge there. It's an edge. So that surface there that we call labio-incisal edge is where your incisal edge meets the labial surface. Okay, that line there where the labial surface and then meets the incisal edge So together, they are called labio-incisal edge, okay? And then, the same on the lingo-incisal edge. That line there, okay, where the lingual surface of your tooth meets with the incisal edge or the incisal ridge. Well, the incisal ridge, okay? So lingual plus incisal, we call it, okay? In naming in dentistry, when you combine two surfaces, it will become lingo-incisal, okay? L-I-N-G-U and then O, lingo-incisal, okay? But that would be one word, okay? Lingo-incisal edge, okay? I hope it's clear with you. Again, the surface, the labial surface, when the labial surface meets with the incisal edge, and that line would be called labio-incisal edge. Labial plus incisal, labio-incisal. And then when your incisal edge meets with the lingual surface, lingual plus incisal, it is lingo-incisal. Okay? I hope it's clear. And then, yes, there's still a cingulum here in this view. This is your incisal view. Distal marginal ridge, mesial marginal ridge, and lingual fossa. You can also do some abbreviations if you're tired to write this down. Okay, distal marginal ridge can be written as DMR, and then mesial marginal ridge can be written also as MMR. Okay, like that. And then we move on to your permanent maxillary right central incisor. Your permanent maxillary right lateral incisor, it almost looks like your central incisor, except that it is smaller in all dimensions. It is way smaller than in all dimensions, okay? And it also has a different it looks a little different than your maxillary central incisors. Because your maxillary central incisors, it almost looks squarish because it is symmetrical in almost all of its dimensions, equal siya halos. But this one, in its distal surface here, okay, you can see, I'll draw the distal surface, okay. It's so big. Okay. The one here with where I put this violet shape. As you can see, that's the distal incisal edge, or okay, to make it easier, just the distal portion of the crown of your lateral incisor. It's a little rounded compared to your maxillary central incisors. So your maxillary central incisors, it's a little rounded on the distal, on its distal incisal surface, but not as rounded as the lateral incisors. Also, your maxillary central incisors, it is the widest teeth mesiodistally. So when you say mesiodistally, when you measure it from the mesial to the distal, meaning widest mesiodistally, it is the pinakalapad, okay? It is widest in width compared to the other teeth. So the lateral incisor, it is way smaller, okay, way smaller than the maxillary central incisor. However, the easier part here is its anatomical landmarks is the same as your maxillary central incisor. So when you get familiar with the landmarks of your maxillary central incisors, then it is easy for you also for the lateral incisor because it has the same anatomical landmarks, just a little different morphology, okay, or shape, and smaller size, okay, in all dimensions. The most common anomaly of your maxillary lateral incisor is what we call peg lateral, okay? It is peg-shaped laterals, okay? You can see peg laterals. That's how peg laterals like. See, it is an anomaly in the formation stage or like that of your teeth. That's not this is not the normal shape of your maxillary lateral incisor. That's why, since it is not normal, it is considered as an anomaly. And we call it peg lateral because it is peg-shaped. Okay? And now, your permanent mandibular right central incisors. Your permanent mandibular right central incisors. It looks way too different with your maxillary central incisors because it's too slim, too thin. Okay, it's like a stick, but okay, not really stick. But yeah, it looks. Your mandibular right central incisors is the narrowest mesiodistally. Okay, it is the complete opposite of your maxillary central incisors or your upper central incisor, because your mandibular or lower central incisor, it is very small. It is very, okay, I don't mean in height. It is very small in its width, okay? Very small mesiodistally. Mas lapad yun ang upper, okay? Smaller ang lower or mandibular. And another thing that you should remember is that in the maxillary, the central incisors in the maxillary are wider, okay? Wider than the laterals, diba? The maxillary lateral incisors are smaller in all dimensions compared to the maxillary centrals. But in the mandibular, it is the opposite because your maxillary right mandibular right central incisor or your mandibular central incisors are narrower, okay, than the laterals. Okay? Complete opposite of the maxillary. The mandibular right central incisors are smaller in mesiodistal width, okay? Narrower mesiodistally compared to the lateral. The mandibular lateral incisors are wider than the centrals, okay? That's a common mistake even in some dentists that have already forgotten their lessons. Okay, some of them would say, mas dako ang centrals, ang mandibular centrals. No, the mandibular central incisors are smaller than the laterals. However, in the actual, when you look at them, it would be a little difficult for you to distinguish each other, especially when you will be asked to distinguish them separately if they're not side by side. However, if they are side by side, when you look at your models, the laterals really look wider, okay, and have a more rounded distal or distal incisal surface. Okay, the anatomical landmarks of your mandibular central incisors are the same as your maxillary central incisors. However, the one shown in the slide are just abbreviations. IR, and it's not complete ha. IR is incisal ridge, DMR, distal marginal ridge, MMR, mesial marginal ridge. C stands for cingulum. LF is lingual fossa. Really looking for ha, just like what you do in Facebook. LF, diba? LF sabay mo kaon. Legit, already kakaon. Lingual fossa ha. LF, lingual fossa. CL, cervical line. Okay, the cervical line. See, it's almost the same. It's the same. Good. However, it has a less pronounced anatomical landmarks compared to your maxillary. Your cingulum and the mandibular central incisors are not so convex, not so pronounced compared to your maxillary. And yes, it is way smaller than the maxillary. And now, the laterals, as what I've said, the mandibular lateral incisors are wider. They are wider mesiodistally. It's mesial to distal, okay? Width is wider than the central. And it's incisal view, okay? The one in the center, the incisal view. It looks a little, what do we call this? it looks a little different compared to your centrals. Ano mo siya tabingi, kiwi siya gamay. However, the anatomical landmarks of these are still the same as your centrals. You just have to remember that these are wider. Okay, these are wider mesiodistally. And please don't forget also to study your modules, because I really like your modules, your SAS, because they are very summarized, and you can read there the eruption times. Okay, please be familiar also with the eruption age. Well, at what age does this teeth erupt? Okay, and now here the canines. The canines. Okay, sorry, the anime picture there. Okay, it just shows. It just shows that your canines are the strongest teeth. Okay, probably the strongest teeth in the dentition. As you can see, the canines have different, it has additional anatomical landmarks compared to your incisors. Okay, so canines, then its name is just canine, not central, not lateral. Okay, the permanent maxillary canine. It is also referred to as the cornerstone of the dentition. Okay, the cornerstone. Because there are 4 canines. Okay, the canines are called cornerstones. They are at the corners of your mouth. Okay, your canines, your tango, your pangil. Okay, and as you can see there, the canines have a sharper tip. It has a sharper tip compared to your incisors, because your incisors are flat on the edge, on their incisal edges are flat, because your incisors are for cutting. Okay, just cutting, or just like the teeth of the herbivores. Okay, the teeth of the cows, of the carabaos, they're flat edged, right? They're just for cutting grasses, for cutting purposes. But your canines, they are sharper. Okay, they have a sharp tip. Okay, which are like the carnivores. Okay, the carnivores. And then we got there the word canine. Okay, for prehensile functions. The tip. Okay, your canine is sharp because it is used for cutting. I mean for tearing. Okay, still it assists your incisors, but for tearing you use your canines. Okay. Most of us, okay, if you don't use scissors, most of us open chips using our canines. No, just don't open bottles of liquor using your teeth. Kaya you will have vertical fracture. But if you open chips, diba, you usually use your canines. Okay, that's the function of your canines. If your canines didn't go attrition is when the edges of your teeth flatten because of wear and tear due to function. Most especially for people who have bruxism, those who have bruxism at night. Most of their canines are not that sharp anymore. Okay, but the normal morphology of your canine, it has a sharp tip. Okay? The tip is sharp for tearing purposes. Also, your canine is much bigger, bulgier. Okay, it is much more convex. Its labial surface is much more convex compared to your incisors, and it is also wider in its. When you look at the picture, okay, look at the mesial and the distal view. It is wider, more bulgy compared to your incisors. Okay, it's we call this surface as labiolingual view. The surface, when you're looking at the mesial and the distal view, it looks wider labiolingually. Why labiolingually? Because you are measuring from in a view that measures from the labial and its lingual surface. Okay, wait lang. It's a little confusing. It might be a little confusing for you. Okay, this one is too thin. Okay. See, this weave here, the one with the arrow, is the labiolingual weave, which is in the canines. They are wider than the incisors. Okay. Okay. This one, L. I'll just put here L as L, and then because this side here, the one with L is the labial side. Okay, the one facing your lips or the labia. Okay, the labia, and then this one is the lingual. Okay, I will just lingual view. This one is facing your tongue or your palate actually. Lingual. So, lang. So your canines, again, are wider in its labiolingual dimension compared to the incisors. Also, this bulge of your canines help, okay, contribute a great factor with aesthetics. Because your canines here, if you still have your teeth, you will have a more convex one-third, lower one-third of your face, okay, upper one-third, middle one-third of your face, lower one-third of your face. It looks a little more convex, and it makes you look younger, okay? That's why people would really want, the older people want dentures, okay? They want dentures to make their lower one-third of their teeth look more youthful, okay? So your canines contribute to your beauty, okay? Our teeth contribute to beauty. Alright, we all know that, most especially at these times where most people go for aesthetic dentistry. Also, your canines, as I've mentioned, that they are probably the strongest teeth in the dentition, they are also the last ones to go. Okay? They don't let go easily. Your canines would stay in the corners, okay? Most people who want to have complete denture, denture, no more teeth, when they think that they don't have any more teeth, most of them still have their canines. Sometimes just no crown anymore, decayed already, but the roots are still there. Your canines are strong teeth, okay? So that's why, aside from being located in the corners of the mouth, they are called cornerstones of the dentition because they are strong, okay? They have the longest root and a long crown also. Hence, they are the longest tooth in the dentition, okay? Your canines are the longest tooth in the dentition. Their root, okay, extends from until here, okay? So that's why most people, when their canines are decayed, they would say that, doctor, my tooth really hurts and my eyes also hurt from it, okay? Or sometimes the swelling includes their face and their eyes. When it's the canine involved, okay, most of the time when it's the canine, because the root of the canine is almost near your eyes, and there's the sinus also there. So sometimes also the canines are called eye tooth, okay, eye tooth. Okay, so your canines are called cornerstones. They're also called eye tooth. Okay, so there, the anatomical landmarks. So what is added there, aside from the ones that you already learned from your incisors, there are two fossae in the canine. Okay, your central incisors and your lateral incisors only have one fossa. That's why we call it lingual fossa. But in the canines, there are two. As you can see there are two, okay? MLF and DLF, okay? Missiolingual fossa and distolingual fossa, okay? There are two fossae there because they are divided by what we call as lingual ridge, okay? LR, okay? That's lingual ridge, that's not lahira, okay? That's lingual ridge, okay? Lingual ridge. So your lingual ridge divides the fossae, okay, into mesiolingual fossa and distolingual fossa. So, ma-confuse na po nga nung mesiolingual to, okay? Mesiolingual because it's that half is the mesial and it is in the lingual surface. So, mesial plus lingual, mesiolingual, okay? So, that fossa there is the mesiolingual fossa. And then on the distal, distolingual fossa. Distal, the distal half, and it is in the lingual surface, distal plus lingual, distolingual fossa. Okay, the ridge that divides them is the lingual ridge, okay? And then there's the MCR and DCR there, okay? MCR, okay, you take note na lang, that is your mesial cusp ridge, okay? Mesial cusp ridge. Because your teeth are made of cusps, okay? So mesial cusp ridge, okay, that's on the mesial. DCR is distal cusp ridge, alright? Distal cusp ridge. And please be familiar, your mesial cusp ridge or the mesial slope there, it is shorter compared to your distal. Compared to your distal cusp ridge, okay? So because well, in the carving, some students really struggle with this because they make their MCR and DCR same length, okay? See, this is your MCR and it has the mesial cusp ridge has a shorter length compared to your distal. Okay. See there. So when you carve, please make the distal cusp ridge more longer compared to the mesial cusp ridge because that would also help you in identifying a tooth if it's its distal portion. See, in the distal, it's where the root is inclined or where the root is going to. See, it's where the root is curving, inclining to, and it is longer. Okay, the cusp ridge is longer. And then, yes, well, that's all for your maxillary canines. Wait lang. Let's have a very short break, okay? Very short break lang. Because I need to drink water. Okay, short break. Uy, okay, sa giduka, pagkape, tawag mo, just me. Kapi-kapi rin, pag may blood. Okay, what's this? Someone's raising hand. Mohammed? Okay, go ahead. I'm not hearing anything. What is it? Yeah. Is CEJ different from cervical? Yeah, you can also say that it is the cemento-enamel junction. Okay, it's alright. CEJ. It's a little advanced though. CEJ because cementum. Cementum is the one you find on your root. Okay, the outer portion of your root is the cementum. Well, on the crown of your teeth, the outermost portion is the enamel. So where the cementum and the enamel joins, we call it cemento-enamel junction. Alright, is that clear, Mohammed? Okay, that's good. Sige, ilang ka minutes break? How many minutes of break? 5-minute break. Okay, 5-minute break. Please be back, ha? Please be back. drink coffee, drink tea, or whatsoever to make your eyes open, okay? Ayaw lang bangili og toothpick. Should continue. And now, let's move on to permanent mandibular canine. So your permanent mandibular canine, I forgot here to indicate that this is the right canine. Permanent mandibular right canine. So please don't forget to indicate how when you in the exams if it is right or if it is left. So be familiar with your tooth models, where is the right and the left ones. Basta remember that the right of the patient is your left, the left side of the patient is your right side. So the permanent mandibular canine, see, it has the same anatomical landmarks as your the maxillary canine. Still the same shorter mesial cusp ridge and longer cusp ridge. However, these canines have less pronounced anatomical landmarks compared to the maxillary counterpart of this. The cingulum of your permanent mandibular canine are not that convex, okay? Are not that convex, not that pronounced compared to your maxillary canines. But all its anatomical landmarks are still the same with your maxillary canines. There are still two fossae there. There is still a lingual ridge that divides the two fossae. So yeah, excuse me. And now, I would like to introduce you to carving, okay? I would just introduce carving the maxillary central incisors because these are just some techniques that I taught with other students, but there are also techniques that you will find in your SAS carving. But I suggest that you better watch YouTube videos on carving tutorials because it's easier for me. Okay, I am a visual learner, so I think I find it easier to watch YouTube tutorials. Okay, video tutorials on how to carve. So here, carving maxillary central incisors. Okay. So step one here. I block, okay, the block of your ivory, it's actually big, it's actually bigger compared to for the carving that you need. So some students, they like dividing the ivory wax into four before doing the carving. But for you who are still beginners, you can start with not dividing the ivory wax. You can start with its original size, so you have more room for mistakes. Okay, just shape it. Okay, you start shaping it and then making it smaller. Because the advantage with the dividing, okay, that they did dividing the ivory wax is that they were able to save wax. However, the disadvantage of starting with a small wax is that you don't have room for errors. If you do a mistake and your carving is already small, then what can you do about it, alright? Compared to it, if it is still big and you don't like the shape of it yet, then you can still reduce more, shape it more, and still achieve the ideal size. But if you start it, if it's already too small, then you cannot do anything about it. You cannot add wax here, or if you try to add wax by melting or whatever form, ivory wax would just break off easily, okay, and it would not look too good in your carving. So, okay, in this step here, you take a wax block and mark the length of the crown, okay? The upper portion would be the length of your crown at 10.5 mm. So, okay, that's why you will use your rulers or calipers, because they have calibrations that are in millimeters. However, in the illustration, it is 11 millimeters because, to give room for corrections, okay, if in case you commit some mistakes in carving, when you overturn, at least you still have a more room, okay, to reduce until it becomes 10.5 mm. 10.5 mm is actually is the ideal length of the crown of your maxillary central incisor. You can go for more than 11 mm for room for corrections. And then the root length is 13 mm, and then a center line at all four sides. Okay, it's not drawn there, but you draw like a straight line at the center, okay, for you to, so that it is easier to make drawings more symmetrical, okay. It's not so at the center here, okay, just like that. You draw a center line there, or not really draw, you mark it using your carvings, your carvers or any sharp material. There, just a marking, okay, to indicate the center. And then at the base, as you can see there is L, M, P, and D. L stands for the labial view. The P is the palatal or the lingual, as I've said earlier. M is for mesial, and D is for distal. That's for the base of the wax, okay? Just so that will just guide you, so that you won't forget, yes, I'm still doing this is the labial surface, I'm doing the mesial, the palatal, or the distal. But at the end of the carving, if you're really done with the carving, you need to remove the base of the wax, okay? So that the carvings really look like your tooth models. And then the next step, okay? You should mark 3.5 mm from the central line laterally, okay? Diba? There's a central line there. You measure 3.5 mm at the cervical area of the labial and the palatal surface. Okay. Libog na, no? Cervical, again, remember, the cervix or the neck of your tooth, okay? From the middle of the line, you measure 3.5 mm laterally. Meaning of laterally, okay, lateral or going to, or the side, okay, going to the sides. You measure 3 okay, you measure. So if this is at the central line, no, you measure here, this is your, the cervical line. Remember the cervical line, okay, at the cervical area. or your cervical line. You measure there 3.5 mm to the right and then another 3.5 mm to the left. Okay. So you do it on the left and the right because that's the 3.5 mm to 3.5 mm because 7 mm is the measure distal width of your okay, of the neck of the cervical portion of your incisors. Okay, wait lang. It's not showing for a while. It's happening. Five mm, 3.5 mm because it's 7 millimeters. Okay, but you can make it 4 mm okay, or more. So again, room for corrections because most students would really struggle with carving the incisors, most especially the central incisors, because this will be, the first carving that they will do. Okay, first bud, and then the palatal surface, and on the palatal surface, okay, mama na siya it's the width, okay, the mesodistal width of the cervical portion of your central incisors. And then mark 4.5 mm at the top, incisal area. So if it's 3.5 here on the cervical, on the top, 4.5 from the central line, the line at the center, as you can see there. You measure from that line going laterally or going to the left and to the right, 4.5 mm on each side, okay? And then connect those markings to make that trapezoidal shape there, okay? You connect those markings to make that trapezoidal shape and remove the wax outside the lines, okay? So they can start to look like your crown, looking at your crown on the labial surface. Okay, don't worry, it's become very confusing, most especially that you are not yet so familiar with the terms. Then tomorrow you will have your lecture with Dr. Ralph and it would really help, okay, the terminologies. And please watch YouTube video tutorials on carving. Okay, and now on the mesial surface, and the distal surface, okay, the surface where you mark M and D. Make 2 horizontal lines on the crown portion, okay, that upper third portion, upper 1/3. 2 horizontal lines with equal distance in between so that it divides the surface in 3 equal parts. As you can see in the picture, the upper portion or the crown portion of the wax block is divided into 3 to denote your incisal third, the topmost portion, the middle third, okay, and the middle, and the cervical third, okay, the bottom third, okay. And still tracing at your mesial and your distal surface, okay. So your mesial and distal surface are also referred to as proximal surfaces. Okay, mesial and distal, they are proximal surfaces. So still facing the proximal surface or your mesial and distal surface, make a C shape at the cervical third of the labial side and slightly oblique line that connects the top of C to the C line to the top. Actually, it doesn't have to look very like letter C, It's just to give you an idea of the shape, okay? Just make a convex line there, or a convex surface for the labial, okay, of your tooth. So it is very important when you carve, you have a mental image of what you are carving. So try to look at your tooth carvings, okay, as a guide for carving the wax, okay, so that you have a guide on the shape. Okay, the one on the illustration, okay, on the left side, it's not nicely drawn, okay, it's not nicely drawn. So you refer to the ones on the graphing paper, okay? The ones on the graphing paper. That's how the mesial and the distal surfaces of the tooth of your central incisors should look like. Okay? It's alright, okay? If it's getting confusing for you, just develop your own techniques, okay? Because in the long run, you will get the gist of carving. You will develop your own techniques. Any technique that is easy and comfortable for you, as long as it is helping your manual dexterity, okay? This will develop your hand skills. And then, yeah. So here, when you're done with the crown, you remove those wax there, remove the wax outside the line of this that does not include in shaping the crown. Radial side first, and then move to the palatal or wherever you might want to start. But most of the time, the roots are carved last, okay? They're carved lastly, or they are carved next to the crown because the roots break off easily because they are narrower, right? Narrower compared with the crown. So after you make an initial shape of the crown, you may start with the root, okay? You may proceed to the root there. But before that, you might want to make the anatomical landmarks more visible, or like at least to make it more realistic. I should carve an M shape, okay, in the palatal fossa region, or the lingual, okay, the back of the teeth, okay. You should carve an M shape there. It doesn't really have to be very letter M, okay, with sharp edges, just like on the drawings, just to give you an idea of how it should look like. Okay, a letter M, but then you round off a little those sharp edges there, okay. All the sharp edges in your carvings should be rounded off, okay? Because most of the time, the carvings would end up looking like squarish things. They look like some, okay, somebody really, okay, I understand that not everyone is good with the hands, but someone admitted to me before a wax carving that looks very squarish. It looks like we're going to play Minecraft. So please round off sharp edges. Don't make your carvings look very squarish, okay? Those sharp edges here, okay, the M shape there is just to make the fossa more pronounced or somewhat, because when you are looking at a wax carving, an ivory wax, it's shiny, it becomes shiny, and the anatomical landmarks don't seem to be very visible. But the sharp edges, you can see the sharp edges when you look at your wax at your eye level, and then the light reflects on that edge, okay, you round off that edge when you are carving. Round off sharp edges, round off anything that makes your carving looks like blocks, okay? And then, okay, for making the fossa, you scoop out the fossa there, okay, to make it a little deeper, like a depression, okay. If you have your carvers already, your carvers have two ends. The other end is like a knife with a cutting edge and a sharp tip, but the other end, it looks like it is rounded. It's like a spoon, or it's like a spoon-shaped end, or as it is referred here, scoop-like end. You scoop out a little on the lingual surface or in the palatal surface to make the lingual fossa. But don't over scoop, don't make it very very deep, more nagsungka. Okay, don't make it look like a bowl of ramen. But don't make it too wide. Okay, just a fossa. Make sure that you will still have your ridges on the side, the mesial marginal ridge and the distal marginal ridge. Okay, they are important anatomical landmarks. So please don't extend your fossa going to the sides. And okay, so just like that. just look at your models. But some of your models, yeah, I don't know the other models, okay, because I only have the Nissin here. But it is very visible on the models. The Cosa on the model is very nice. Okay, because when you just base on your tooth, sometimes our own teeth are already had some attrition and abrasion, and the anatomical landmarks are not visible anymore, are not palpable anymore. And then you may start with your root carving. Okay, just marking 2 lines from the cervical portion going to the baseline portion of the labial and the palatal side. Okay, to make an outline of the cone-shaped roots. Okay, so your roots of your anterior teeth, okay, are conical. Okay, and it's just mono-rooted. Mono means one, so meaning one root only. Okay, because on your other teeth, after the canines, you have your premolars, you will start to have 2 roots already. They are bilooted, and then you will have 3 rooted teeth, the molars. So these are easier pa. Your anteriors, okay, they are the front teeth. Anterior meaning front. So anterior teeth, these are your incisors and the canines, and they are mono-rooted, 1 root only. So here he will start shaping the cone shape roots, the conical roots. And then you do the same on the mesial and the distal side. And okay. So it almost looks like this, but yeah, the one shown in the picture, it's not the perfect carving. It's not that nice. You can do better than that. So using a microfiber cloth, you round off the edges by giving straight strokes and rotating the root of the wax tooth carving clockwise to make it conical in shape. So for example, if this pen is the root of your carving, and this is your microfiber cloth, you just turn it around, okay? Just turn it around clockwise or whatever, counterclockwise, to make it more conical, to make the roots conical and shiny. And using your microfiber cloth, you give it straight strokes, okay? You hold it firmly, you support to avoid breaking off the wax carving. Just straight strokes, just like that, straight strokes. Because if you make many strokes like this and like that, you will end up breaking off your carvings, okay? And it would hurt to have a carving break off after all the struggles and it breaks off. But it's okay. If it happens, well, that's normal. So to finalize polishing it, you use Sanicare. Again, this is not a paid endorsement, and all paid. Not a paid endorsement of Sanicare bamboo wet wipes. I should get an endorsement of this trial. Anyway, you can use other brands, Uira kay ko, pero yeah, nindot bitaw ang Sanicare bamboo wet wipes. If you buy a big pack of it, you don't only use it in your carvings, diba? You can use it in other purposes. To get a smooth and shiny finish and a neat wax carving, it's actually nice, no? I forgot to indicate in your materials that you may use pwede ra ba daw cotton or rubbing alcohol do. You try kapihik sa ni mo uy palit na lagwit wipes sa diha, grabe siya namo goy barato. Anyway, if you try cotton, I don't know, I haven't tried that, but you may try cotton and rubbing alcohol. But sige, go ahead, anything that makes your carvings nice and shining and shimmering, splendid, and everything nice. Anyway, I forgot, I don't have my brushes here. After carving, you might notice in your wax carving there will be white particles, like particles of wax there, because some wax, okay, not all wax have the same quality. If you happen to have a wax that have this powdery texture, when you carve and you especially when you're doing the demarcations of the cervical line, like that. They are the smaller, the smaller anatomical landmarks there. It will leave some whitish particles that doesn't make your wax carvings look neat. So to remove those, it can't be removed with directly using the microfiber cloth or the wet wipes or the cotton whatsoever. You use a fine brush, okay, a fine bristled brush, not toothbrush, because the toothbrush will leave markings, will leave lines. So you can use those smooth brushes that you use for painting, or brushes that you use for your makeup. Okay? Something soft, and then you brush it off, okay? Okay, or even you may even use the brushes that you use for cleaning your keyboards if they are soft, if the bristles are soft. So you remove the wax, particles there, and then wipe it off again with microfiber cloth and finish it with wet wipes or to have a neat wax carving. Okay, so you may really develop another technique of carving, whatever is comfortable for you and whatever seems easier for you. Okay, it's all right as long as you can come up with your carvings. Okay. And then, okay, I will show you carvings of the previous block. Okay, this is by hands. Okay. It's not showing. Can you see it or no? No?
Hindi makita, miss. Doc, miss.
Wait lang. Hello, you got attitude sa yards. Wait lang. So, Pindot bital dyan din ang carvings, okay? I know you can carve well. I think this new, as you can see it, okay, that is, can you see it now?
Doc.
Can you see it?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
So that is the right quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Okay, that's carvings of hands. Okay, I asked his permission. So that's how your carving should look like, and you should, when you submit your carvings, it should be like this. But this will be for the finals already when you're done carving, because I would still be checking first the anteriors, okay, the central going into the canines, the centrals to the canines. And then next would be your premolars and then the molars. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So this is hands carvings. And also, I will show you another carving. Like, I asked your permission on this naman. See, these carvings I gave 100% points. Because it's almost difficult to identify where the carving is and where the tooth models are. As you can see, this is Francine Conge's carving. Very artistic child. She even colored the roots. So it's almost difficult. It took me seconds. When I opened the carvings, it took me seconds to identify where's the tooth models and where are the wax carvings. Okay? The wax carvings are on the quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, okay, right side of the patient. So you can see there, she colored the roots, okay? She colored the roots. Very creative. Okay? Those are her carvings, okay? I believe most of you really do well also because, yeah. But you're a good breed, new breeds. Okay. And, yes. So these are their carvings, okay? Francine Conge, Hans Anthony Velardo, and the one on the lower right portion, she didn't color the roots, but it's still nicely done. That's by Shira McDonald. Okay? Those are their carvings. Hans passed on it. So Hans submitted here just the right quadrant because that's what I required also. You don't have to submit the the tooth models, okay, the left side of the tooth models along with your carvings, but it is their own decision to submit their to include their tooth models to make it more, aesthetically pleasing, because the aesthetics also have grades with this, because dentistry comes with it, alright? Dentistry comes with artistry. So yeah, so those may serve as your guides. So that's all, and